Good morning and welcome to today's family service. This is a little bit of an unusual service. We have a delegation that's just returned from Japan yesterday, and Reverend Gibbs is in San Diego. So this is basically a Sangha-led service today, with the Dharma message being provided by Reverend Gibbs, be shown on the video screen for those of you who are here at the temple, and of course you'll see it online if you're joining us through YouTube or our website. At this time, I would like to also thank Alan Goto back there for doing our audiovisual, Kathy Mikuni for leading our Sutra chanting today. And as a way of introduction, my name's Kathy Kumagai, and I'm going to be hopping back and forth from the organ to the podium, and if I trip and fall, just ignore that. But so welcome everybody, and bear with us while we do this special Sangha-led service today. So if you can please rise, we are going to have the opening reflection. Thank you. Happiness follows sorrow, sorrow follows happiness. But when one no longer discriminates between happiness and sorrow, a good deed and a bad deed, one is able to realize freedom. And that's from the Dhammapada. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Please be seated. At this point, we are going to have the Sutra chanting. And that'll be led by Kathy Mikuni. It'll be Juseige. It's on page 39 in this book, or you could follow along on the screen. Thank you.
Daimuryo Jukyo Juseige Gagon Chosegan Hishi Mujodo Shigan Fu Manzo Seifu Joshogak Gao Muryoko Fui Daisei Shu, Fusai Shobingu, Seifu Joshogak, Gashi Jobutsu Do, Myosho Chojippo, Kukyo Mishomon, Seifu Joshogak, Ryokujin Shonen, Joe Shubongyo, Shigu Mujodo, Isho Tennin Shi, Jinriki Endaiko, Fusho Musaido, Shoujo Sankumyo, Kosai Shuyakunan, Kaihi Chiegen, Meshi Konmo An, Heisoku Sho Akudo, Tsudatsu Zen Shumon, Koso Jo Manzoku, Iyoro Jippo, Nichigatsu Shujuki, Tenko Onfugen, Ishu Kaihozo, Kose Kudokuho, Jo Daishu Chu, Seppo Shishiku, Kuyo Issai Butsu, Gusoku Shutoku Hon, Ganne Shitsujo Man, Tokui Sangai O, Nyobutsu Mugechi, Sudatsu Mifusho, Gangaku Eriki, Toshi Saisho Son, Shigan Yakoka, Daisen o kando, koku shoten nin, tou chin myoke, Namandabu, 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 Namandabu. Ganni shiku doku, byodo se isai, dohon bodai shin, ojo anrakoku. Namamida Butsu, Namamida Butsu, Namamida Butsu.
Thank you. Please rise for the Gatha, which is Namu Amida Butsu, on page, it's right up here for me, on page 136. Will you please rise and we'll sing the Gatha?
If you could remain standing, we are going to read the three treasures, and that is on page 10 of your service book. How rare and wondrous it is to have been born into human life, and now I live it. How rare and wondrous it is to be able to listen to the Buddha Dharma, and now I am able to hear it. If I do not transcend the world of delusion in this life, when will I ever attain spiritual liberation? May I, along with the entire Sangha, with sincere heart and mind, rely on that which can be truly relied on in life, the three treasures. And if you can join me, I rely on the Buddha. May I, along with all sentient beings, awaken to the great path with my entire being and discover the highest aspiration, which is to become a Buddha. I rely on the Dharma. May I, along with all sentient beings, deeply reflect on the meaning of the sutras and gain wisdom that is as deep and vast as the ocean. I rely on the Sangha. May I, along with all sentient beings, become one Sangha of life, able to move forward and live with a dynamic spirit that is hindered by nothing. The unsurpassed, deep, and wondrous Dharma, even in millions of kalpas, is extremely difficult to encounter, but now I am able to experience and embrace it. May I come to understand and revere the true meaning of the Tathagata. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Thank you. If you can please be seated. And next we will have a Dharma message, which you will be able to view on the screen.
Good morning. Thank you for joining me in cyberspace. I'm in cyberspace this morning, whether you came in person or not. Please excuse me for not being here this morning in person myself. Of course, I'm not really in cyberspace. No one is. I'm in San Diego the morning of May 21st of 2023. I will be officiating for the San Diego Buddhist Temple's Gotane service at this time. Pasadena had our Gotane service last week. So this is the message for the service for May 21st. So allow me to take the time to thank a few of the people who have made this possible. This will be an incomplete thank you, but I want to thank Alan Goto, as always, for videotaping and doing tech support. Kathy Kumagai for tech support. I believe she'll play organ at the service. Kathy Mikuni for arranging the chairperson protocols, and I think, I don't know if Kathy is doing this service herself or has another board member chairing, and we expect Kyoko Gibbs has done our flowers the night before. I'm recording this a couple weeks ahead of time, so I'm guessing who all to thank, but I definitely want to thank Alan Goto, Kathy Kumagai, Kathy Mikuni, and Kyoko Gibbs, among others. This morning I want to speak with you about living in the presence of the Buddha's vow. This is what it's all about for us, living in the presence of the promise of universal liberation, living in the very presence of the active promise to lift every living thing out of suffering and into goodness, light, and beauty. You hear me speak about the vow, Amida Buddha's vow, the promise of liberation for all, most Sunday mornings. You also, many a week, come across me urging you and myself to find the Nembutsu to be sacred, to find the simple saying of the Buddha's name in forms like Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, to find that as sacred, precious, beautiful, worthy, and transformative. I encourage you in this way most weeks. This morning, I want to emphasize that the voice Nembutsu, Namu Amida Butsu, cognates, that the voice Nembutsu is our key way of encountering that active promise. Of course, there are other ways to be incorporated in this promise of liberation, but this is our way, this simple, accessible, direct way, something to hold on to, Namu Amida Butsu, something you can grasp, Namu Amida Butsu, something you need not let go of, Namu Amida Butsu. Something that will carry you up where you need to go. Namu Amida Butsu. Now, voicing the Nembutsu, of course, means to say it aloud, Namu Amida Butsu. For instance, Namu Amida Butsu. It could be in translation. I often use the translation. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. When I have enough breath, I translate it as, we rely upon the source of limitless wisdom, light, and endless life. But you don't have to translate it. Namu Amida Butsu, the whole point is it's this moment, this accessible sound, namandabutsu, this accessible activity, letting the sound come out of your own throat and mouth, namandabutsu, something you can hold on to. Voiced Nembutsu. To vocalize one's recollection of the Nembutsu and their promise to all of us is easy. Voicing the Nembutsu means to vocalize our reliance on Amida Buddha. To vocalize the Nembutsu is to say aloud sacred words, such as Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Kimyo Jinjipo Mugeko Nirai, or the simple Namanda, Namanda, Buddhamanda, Namanda, 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 Buddhamanda, Namu Amida Butsu. This is voicing the Nembutsu. The words have a purity and a goodness because of the intention that they express. Namu Amida Butsu. The import of Namu Amida Butsu is awakening's promise to include us in that enlightenment. The promise of awakening itself to include us. Namu Amida Butsu. These are not special sounds. The sounds don't have to be of a special frequency. It could be Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu. It doesn't matter. The tone doesn't matter. The vibratory frequency doesn't matter. It doesn't even have to be any particular words. Any words that remind you of being taken up into this promise of liberation. As Gibun Kimura Sensei had said, thank you is the Nembutsu. If you're saying thank you because of the Buddha's light, because of the Buddha's help. The meaning of this utterance is what's important. And the meaning is, for us, that we wish to live in the light of the Buddha's promise. We wish to live in the light of the Buddha's promise to us all. To live mindful of the Buddha's promise to us all is a good thing, a very good thing. Shinran wrote of his experience of coming to live mindful of Amida Buddha's promise at some length. In his masterwork, Jodo Shinshu Kyogyo Shomon Marui, I will read a portion of a crucial section where he expresses this coming to rely on the vow. He talks about having turned away from relying on his own actions to relying on the vow and the name, the Nembutsu. Again, I'll read a portion of this. This is from the collected works of Shinran, page 240. The conclusion, near the conclusion of the Kyogo Shinshu, as we call it. Reading from Shinran's writings. Thus, I, Gutoku Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni, through reverently accepting the exposition of Vasubandhu, author of the treatise, and depending on the guidance of Master Shandao, I departed everlastingly from the temporary gate of the myriad practices and the various good acts, and left forever the birth attained beneath the twin solace trees. Turning about, I entered the true gate of the root of good and the root of virtue, and wholeheartedly awakened the mind leading to the birth that is non-comprehensible. Nevertheless, I have now decisively departed from the true gate of provisional means, and my self-power overturned, have entered the ocean of the selected vow. Having swiftly become free of the mind leading to birth that is non-comprehensible, I am assured of attaining the birth that is inconceivable. How truly profound in intent is the vow that beings ultimately attain birth in the pure realm. Having entered forever the ocean of the vow, I now realize deeply the Buddha's benevolence. To respond with gratitude for the supreme virtues, I collect the critical passages of the true teaching of the Pure Land Way, and I am constantly saying, out of mindfulness, the name that is the inconceivable ocean of virtues. Evermore greatly rejoicing, I humbly receive the Nembutsu. So that rather long passage, and there are some technicalities in this passage that we need not go into. What do these different sorts of birth into the Pure Land mean between the solitaries, incomprehensible, inconceivable? Why does he mention the teachers Vasubandhu and Shandao when his main reliance was on Honen and Tanwan? I don't know. Those are scholarly questions that you can ask David Matsumoto. He'll tell you. He would know. I don't. Such scholarly details, however, are not crucial to our religiosity. What is important for us in this passage is that to see that the more Shinran turned away from reliance on his own abilities throughout his life, the more he turned away from relying on his own efforts, his own self-power, his own jiriki, the more he moved away from effort, the more he said the Nembutsu. And the more he urged us to say the Nembutsu aloud. Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu. Saying the Buddha's name, vocalizing the Nembutsu, is not an effort that we make. It is an opportunity to encounter the Buddha, an opportunity to encounter the active working out of the Buddha's promise for us all. The more concertedly that Shinran gave up his own efforts to move toward the light, the more often he said the Nembutsu, and the more the light shone upon him, and the more fully trusting confidence welled up into his daily living. The more fully trusting confidence permeated his daily living. Living in the light of the Buddha's vow, living in the light of the Buddha's vow for everyone, we say the Nembutsu sometimes. We live naturally and thankfully. This is a simple Buddhist path, a simple way of living as Buddhists, with serious philosophical underpinnings. How is it that the vow to liberate all living beings emerges in our lives as Namu Amida Butsu, and similar phrases with a similar meaning? This is a matter of some conceptual subtlety, understanding how this works, how it could work, how it could be, how this emerges out of Buddhist tradition with the power that it does. How we live in consonance with this teaching, however, is a rather plain matter. We trust the promise, we say the Nembutsu in forms like Namu Amida Butsu, or we hold the Nembutsu silently in our hearts and minds if circumstances so dictate. We live lives of trust and thankfulness. I'm not going to go on too much longer. This is a rather dense talk for me. Since my talk has been a little more technical than I might have wished, I want to close on a lighter note with a story. I borrowed this story from John Hick and altered a bit. So I want you to imagine a mountain climber, an exhausted mountain climber. He's almost up to the peak of his climb, and he's got the hook up there, he's got the rope, and he's so tired, he doesn't think he can pull himself up. He can barely hold onto the rope. So the mountain climber looks up to the sky and says, "Is there anybody up there?" And so he hears this voice, and it says, "It is I, Manjushri, the Bodhisattva of wisdom. Just let go of the rope and fall into my arms." And so the mountain climber thinks about this for a minute, let go of the rope and fall into your arms. Manjushri, Bodhisattva of wisdom. So then he looks up to the sky and says, "Is there anybody else up there?" Now, Amida Buddha is up there, and Amida Buddha will pull you up. You don't have to let go of the rope. The rope is Namu Amida Butsu. Hold on to that rope. You don't have to do anything else. Occasionally say the Buddha's name, Namu Amida Butsu. When you're too tired to say the Buddha's name, you don't need to. The Buddha will pull you up. Enlightenment itself is shining on you. Awakening itself will lift you up into the light and goodness. Amida Buddha will lift us up into the goodness and the warmth and an unending, exhilarating adventure. I'm holding on to the Nembutsu, and that's my message today. I encourage all of you to hold on to the Nembutsu. You don't have to let go. You don't have to do anything heroic. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to trust that there is goodness. It is manifesting in our lives. It has come through Buddhist tradition very powerfully, and is speaking to you as Amida Buddha's promise. Namu Amida Butsu. All will be well, and all will be well, and all manner of thing will be well. This is the Buddhist promise. It's a promise to all of you. We recall that sometimes by saying the Nembutsu in forms like Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu. And closing this Dharma message portion of the service, I thank all our lay leaders at the Pasadena Buddhist Temple for actually officiating the service. And I will close the Dharma message by saying the Buddha's name a few times. Those who wish to hold on to this rope with me, do so. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namu Amida Butsu. 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 Namu Amida. Thank you very much.
He who is influenced by likes and dislikes cannot rightly understand the significance of circumstances and tends to be overcome by them. He who is free from attachments rightly understands circumstances, and to him all things become new and significant. The Dhammapada. Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu. Thank you. If you can now be seated. And we have announcements.
As always, we have announcements. Thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate seeing everybody here, and hello in cyberspace. We have a fundraiser coming up on June 3rd, and bingo night, and you can place your orders until May 24th. So there is a deadline for you. And if you'd like to come out and help the Sangha get the temple ready for this summer's Obon celebration, we will be having a general temple cleanup on Saturday. This is in June 24th from 9 to noon. Bring your favorite cleaning supplies, your favorite gardening tools, and come on out, and it'll be followed by a potluck lunch. So there's two things that you can put on your calendar, and we look forward to seeing everybody there. Thank you very much, and thank you to everybody who did the service. And we will, if you have not had a chance to offer incense before the service started, you may do so now. And thank you for attending. I almost forgot the final announcement. Next week, there is no temple service. It's a Memorial Day weekend, and traditionally, our Sunday service is held at Mountain View Cemetery in Altadena on Lake. And if you'd like Sensei to visit your family grave site, please let him know. Otherwise, he will be there at 10 a.m. On Sunday next week. And I can't do the addition, so I can't tell you the date. But thank you very much.